people of Earth. We are interstellar visitors from outside your solar system. We've been watching you as you've been watching us. You've named our vessel 3i Atlas. You amuse us. That is good. Prepare for our arrival.
Welcome to the bunker.
Survivalists, off-gridders, homesteaders, and the like. Welcome to Top's Bunker, a podcast for preppers. Email shtf@topsbunker.com. Website topsbunker.com. Don't forget to check the show notes on your podcast player for valuable links and extra info on this episode. I want to thank you all for joining us. We got a great show for you. Tonight, we're talking about 3i Atlas, an interstellar object that NASA is calling a comet that is heading straight through our solar system right now as we speak. But leading astrophysicists, astronomers, and other scientists from around the world have issues with this object being a comet. It's made course corrections, it got brighter and changed colors for no apparent reason, and it's outgassing materials that should not be on a comet. Is it a spacecraft, or is it just another comet? Buddy and I are going to talk about that tonight, so let's get to it. All right, so tonight we're going to be talking about, what are we talking about? We're talking about 3i Atlas. Do you know what 3i Atlas is? Did you look it up?
I pulled up some stuff. I didn't see anything on 3i Atlas. I'm coming in hot on this.
And I've got sound bites to play and things to go over, but let's start with this. 3i Atlas is a interstellar object that is coming, that is now in our solar system. It has come. In other words, it did not come from our solar system. You look up in the night sky, pick one of the stars up there, it came from one of them.
Okay.
This is an actual interstellar object, just like Muamua. In fact, Muamua was the first one, and it was called 1i Muamua. The second one was 2i Borisov, and this one is 3i Atlas. So, and I'm going to try to stay out of all the deep, sciencey kind of stuff, but there are a few things that you're going to have to kind of know to start out with. Number one, for those of you who don't know, please tell me you know what a solar system is. Our solar system is actually called the solar system on all capital letters. That's what we named it. We named it the solar system. So when you look at other stars and they have planets around them, scientists call those by whatever they're in, like the Sagittarius system. Ours is the solar system, meaning soul, sun, blah, blah, blah. That's what we call it. We've got 8 planets. We used to have 9. They've screwed up Pluto when they took it off the list. It happens. Okay. So we have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. Outside of Mars, we have the asteroid belt, which probably used to be a planet that blew up somehow. Outside of that, we got Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and then past that is Pluto. Okay. And then past that is the Oort cloud. The Oort cloud is massive. It's absolutely massive. And it is just like the asteroid belt, which has asteroids in it. The Oort cloud has comets in it. That's where all the comets come from. Okay. Not this one. This one came from another solar system, a whole nother star. What made this weird? Number one, it's moving way faster. By magnitude, way faster than any other objects we've ever had come through our solar system. And it is on the same elliptical plane as our solar system, which never happens. In other words, our solar system is like a flat spinning, it's got the sun in the middle and all the planets are flat going out. It's not like an atom where it's got things flying all around the sun. They're all flying around in a disc shape. This object is coming in directly in that plane. Picture you have a swimming pool and you have the blow up balls in the swimming pool, right? So you got the sun in the middle and all the planets are outside. They're all flat on top of the water. This object is coming across the water like a speedboat. It's coming right along the elliptical plane, only 5 degrees off, which is unbelievable, statistics or whatever would have to make that not happen, but it did, which is really weird. But it gets way, way deeper than that. So what happened is, I'm going to play a couple sound bites. What happened was we have spaceships out in our solar system. I don't know if everybody's aware of this, but we've got lots of spaceships, our own spaceships out in the solar system. We got them around Mars, Jupiter. We got 2 around the sun. We got them around Earth, around the moon. We got all kinds of spaceships that are out there. Okay. They are spacecrafts. I call them spaceships because it's cooler. Okay. And these spacecrafts are constantly analyzing and receiving data, taking pictures, doing all kinds of stuff with our solar system, with our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, and outside of our galaxy. They're constantly doing all kinds of stuff. 2 crafts we have. One is sitting close to the sun, but not right up against it, and it's measuring all of the solar wind that comes off of the sun. The other one, there's 2 of these. The other one is right next to the sun, and it goes from the top of the pole of the sun down to the bottom, and it just keeps orbiting the sun. It's very close. And these 2 spaceships, they are constantly watching the sun. They're watching it for solar flares and coronal mass ejection.
Solar storms.
And solar storms have to do with the solar wind. That's exactly right. And coronal mass ejections and solar flares can not only seriously affect the Earth, it could also destroy our civilization. So we have these 2 ships out there. They're constantly watching this, okay? And they're watching the solar winds. Now, this is really important to understand. The solar winds it is a massive force that comes away from the sun constantly at like 1,000,000 miles an hour or something like that. And it's projecting out, okay? And it goes way out. It goes way, way out past like the Oort cloud. And nothing is without getting damaged by the solar winds. Okay. Now, big planets like the Earth, we have a spinning core that creates a force field, more or less, a magnetic force field around our Earth, and that blocks the solar winds. That keeps us from becoming Mars. Mars lost its core many, many years ago, and now, and the sun just basically stripped the entire planet clean.
Wow.
You can see these solar winds. If you want to, all you have to do is look at the aurora borealis. Those green swirling lights that you see up in the sky, the northern lights,
yeah,
that's the solar winds. That's the solar winds hitting our force field and going around it.
Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah, you can actually see the force field we have around the Earth. Without that, if our inner core stops spinning, okay, we lose our magnetic shield. And within just a very short amount of time, I can't tell you what it is, seconds, minutes, hours, the entire planet will be completely burnt off. It'll be gone. Everything will be gone. It'll look like Mars, basically. So, why is that important to this story?
Yeah, you got me scared here.
Yeah, so this is where it gets really weird. Big objects like planets that have these magnetic shields can block these winds. Things like the moon can't. Mars can't. It's dead. Asteroids, comets, spaceships, everything can't. They don't have a magnetic force field to block the solar winds. Well, these scientists were looking out into space at the solar winds. That's what this machine does. It actually watches the solar winds, looks for anomalies, and it found one. Something was blocking the solar winds, like it had a force field. And they were like, what is that? It looks like a comet or something, but it's blocking the solar winds. It can't do that. There's nothing in physics that allows that to happen. So they got the other spaceships to take a look at it. Everything was confirmed, and that's when the shit hit the fan. And I'm going to play that part for you right now. Take a listen to this.
NASA has just confirmed something extraordinary. 3I/Atlas appears to bend solar winds with its magnetic field. In plain terms, that means an interstellar object, barely more than a cosmic speck, somehow deflects a raging stream of charged particles that, until now, only planets with massive invisible shields could withstand. The official story defies everything astronomers thought possible. If 3I/Atlas truly bends solar wind, Nothing in current physics can explain it. Some experts say this is the biggest shock since Oumuamua. Others fear what it means for how we understand objects entering our solar system. Is nature hiding a new type of force in plain sight? Or have we just glimpsed a cosmic rule breaker, unlike anything before? Within hours of NASA's official statement, headlines ricocheted around the world. The words magnetic field and solar wind, usually the domain of specialists, exploded onto social feeds and primetime news. Scientists who had spent careers mapping the sun's invisible breath found themselves fielding midnight calls from journalists and government offices. The shock was not just scientific, it was cultural. For decades, the solar wind has been the sun's signature, an ever-present gale of charged particles, racing outward at over 1 million miles per hour. Only planets with vast, spinning metal cores, Earth, Jupiter, Saturn, were thought to have the muscle to carve a path through that plasma storm. Now, an interstellar object, barely a few miles wide, was accused of pulling off the same trick. The official NASA release was careful, almost clinical. Unusual magnetic features detected in the vicinity of 3I/Atlas, further analysis ongoing. But the subtext was electric. Within minutes, amateur astronomers and professional observatories alike scoured their archives for any sign of a magnetic anomaly. Slack channels buzzed with screenshots of plasma data, each curve and spike dissected in real time. Dr. Richard Kowalski, whose team first flagged the anomaly, typed out a message that would echo across the scientific world. Anyone seeing this in the mirrored logs? This shouldn't be possible for a body this small. The disbelief was almost physical. Dr. Christina Cohen, a veteran of NASA's Parker Solar Probe, scrawled a note in her lab book. Atlas displays a magnetic signature akin to a minor planet, not a comet. Her inbox filled with requests for raw data and error checks. Within 48 hours, backup magnetometers from ground stations confirmed the signal tracked with Atlas's path. The odds of instrument error dropped to near zero. The story was now bigger than a single object. It was a challenge to the rulebook itself. As the debate spilled into public view, the stakes grew. If Atlas could truly bend the solar wind, then everything from our models of planetary formation to our understanding of cosmic visitors was suddenly up for grabs. The sense of awe was matched only by a ripple of anxiety. What else might be hiding in the data, waiting to upend our sense of what's possible? The world was watching, and for the first time in years, the cosmos felt both closer and more mysterious than ever. Solar wind isn't gentle. It's a raging river of charged particles, protons and electrons, blown off the sun's outer layers, the corona, at speeds that regularly top 1 million miles per hour. This plasma doesn't just fill the space between planets, it shapes it. The solar wind creates the heliosphere, a vast bubble that stretches well beyond Pluto, acting as a shield against even harsher cosmic rays from interstellar space. But solar wind isn't unstoppable. When it slams into something big enough, like Earth, Jupiter, or Saturn, it hits an invisible wall, a magnetic field. Picture a planet's magnetosphere as a force field, sculpted by the motion of molten metal deep inside. This field deflects much of the incoming solar wind, forcing it to flow around the planet in sweeping arcs. On Earth, that invisible shield is the only thing standing between us and a constant blast of radiation. The auroras dancing near the poles, that's solar wind energy funneled by our magnetic field into the upper atmosphere, not a direct hit. Most bodies in the solar system don't get this kind of protection. Mars lost its magnetic field eons ago. Its atmosphere was stripped away, leaving it exposed. Comets, asteroids, even most moons, they're too small or too cold inside to generate a magnetic field at all. When solar wind reaches them, it doesn't bend or bow. Instead, it rips electrons from the surface, creating a faint ion tail that always points away from the sun. The only exception comes from planets with a molten core, spinning fast enough to act as a dynamo. NASA's Parker Solar Probe and ESA's Solar Orbiter have spent years mapping these interactions. Their instruments record the sun's magnetic field lines, the speed of solar wind, and the way it's shaped by planetary shields. The data is clear. Only the giants, planets with global magnetic fields, can carve out a bubble in this relentless storm. Anything smaller is swept along, its atoms peeled away molecule by molecule. That's why the idea of a comet-sized visitor bending the solar wind isn't just surprising, it's almost unthinkable. The math says it should be impossible. Here's where the story takes a turn. If the solar wind is the sun's signature, and magnetic fields are the rare shields that can redirect it, then any hint of bending around a tiny interstellar object demands a second look. What the probe saw next would test the limits of everything we thought we knew. 3 spacecraft, 3 vantage points, 1 anomaly. At 0803 UTC on August 18th, SOHO's plasma sensors caught something that didn't belong. A bow-shaped disturbance in the solar wind, directly downstream of 3I/Atlas. 2 minutes later, the Parker Solar Probe's magnetometer registered a sharp spike in local field strength, a gradient shift that stood out against the usual solar background. By 0811, MAVEN's high-energy particle detectors, orbiting near Mars, picked up a deflection event that matched the coordinates of Atlas almost to the decimal. For years, these missions have tracked the sun's moods from different corners of the solar system. SOHO, stationed at L1, is the quiet sentinel, watching the solar wind flow past Earth. Parker Solar Probe dives close to the inferno, sampling the sun's breath at the source. MAVEN, circling Mars, records how that same wind strips away atmospheres. Their sensors speak different languages: plasma density, field vectors, particle flux. But on this morning, their logs told a single, synchronized story. Dr. Richard Kowalski, leading the Atlas tracking team, scanned the mirrored logs as the data streamed in. The timestamps lined up with uncanny precision. He fired off a message. 3 platforms, 3 hits. This isn't a glitch. To rule out instrument error, on-call teams ran cross-correlation analyses, matching each spike to the projected path of 3I/Atlas. The pattern held. The odds of 3 independent spacecraft, scattered across millions of miles, all registering a matching anomaly by chance, almost zero. Within minutes, NASA's Heliophysics Division convened an emergency call. Mission leads from SOHO, Parker, and MAVEN dialed in, along with JPL's data science chief. The consensus was immediate. The event was physically associated with Atlas's trajectory, not a solar outburst or background noise. By 0915, the anomaly was flagged as Level 1, reserved for discovery beasts that defy known models. A classified report, annotated with overlays of the event, was finalized within 90 minutes and sent up the chain for White House review. The technical details are stark. SOHO's plasma bow, Parker's magnetic spike, MAVEN's particle deflection, all 3 signatures tracked with Atlas's projected position as it crossed the ecliptic. No coronal mass ejection, no solar flare, no planetary interference. Just a small interstellar body and a solar wind that, for a few minutes, bent in a way only seen around planets. The instruments did not blink. The anomaly was real, measured, verified, and now impossible to ignore.
This is not something that happened years ago. This just happened in August.
That scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, this is brand spanking new. They found out about 3I Atlas a few months back. I think it was July.
July 1st, that is what it said.
Whatever this thing is has a force field. It's looking like it's a comet. It probably is a comet or something acting like a comet or looking like a comet. Oh, it gets deeper, man. It gets way deeper than that.
I don't know if I want to know.
That's just the start of it, is the fact that it's acting like it's coming into our solar system and saying, I don't care about the sun's solar winds. They don't bother me. Everything else in the solar system is bothered by it. I'm not. Why? Why is that happening? We don't know. I know that was long, but it was kind of fun to listen to. And I got another one that's probably it's a little shorter than that, and a couple of those other short ones I want to show you. But there's another one I want to bring in. It's kind of the whole story of 3I Atlas. Yeah, I know. I hear you down there. You're going to get fed in a little bit. That's my pup. So let me go ahead and play this, and then we're going to get a little discussion going real quick.
This is an ancient alien object that is rapidly approaching our sun. And for the past month, all of the Earth's most powerful telescopes have been pointed at this one strange light in the sky. They have been looking for answers, but what they saw has only raised more questions. Now, time is running out. Soon the object will disappear from our view, hidden behind the bright light of our sun, which leaves us with a mystery to solve. What is this thing? Officially, it's known as 3I Atlas, meaning third interstellar object, meaning it comes from away, from one of those little stars that you see in the night sky. We're not sure which one exactly, but we are pretty sure that 3I Atlas comes from a very old place in our Milky Way galaxy, from a distant solar system that could be twice the age of our own sun. And this is only the third time that we've been able to spot one of these interstellar visitors. The first was called Oumuamua, this crazy cigar-shaped rock that came tumbling into our solar system in 2017. We still don't really know what this thing was, but we know it was weird, and it's already looking like 3I Atlas could be even weirder. Then there was 2I Borisov, which has become the underappreciated middle child of the bunch, and that's because it was decidedly less weird. Borisov looked like a comet, it acted like a comet, and that's almost certainly what it was. But a comet that came here from another star, which is still pretty cool. But 3I Atlas has quickly become our best opportunity yet to study a genuinely strange alien object. And this is one of those situations where the more we learn, the weirder it gets. Officially, the object was spotted for the first time on July 1st, 2025 by the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, or ATLAS, hence the name. At that time, it was in between the orbits of Jupiter and Mars, but still much closer to Jupiter. Although, since then, we've learned that 3I Atlas was actually seen for the first time on May 7th, 2025 by the Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, also known as TESS, which was busy looking for distant alien planets, so it didn't notice our new visitor at the time. But when that first image of 3I Atlas was taken, the object was still traveling in between Saturn and Jupiter. That also helps to give us an idea of just how fast this object is moving. When NASA launched the Voyager probes on a direct course for Jupiter, it took between 18 and 23 months to reach the planet's orbit. We know that 3I Atlas was near Jupiter in May, it's now passing by Mars in September, and will reach the Sun for its closest approach on October 29th. Then it will be back out at the orbit of Jupiter again by next spring. That's how we know for sure this is an interstellar object. It's traveling way too fast to be caught by the gravity of the Sun, which is known as a hyperbolic trajectory. Now, what's interesting about the observation made by TESS is that even when 3I Atlas was out beyond the orbit of Jupiter, it was already looking very bright, and then it got much brighter over the 3-week period that TESS was able to see it. That is a little weird, or it's weird compared to the comets that we are used to seeing. Typically, those comets are big chunks of frozen water that get mixed up with various rocks and dust and gas and stuff out at the edge of the solar system. And then as that chunk of ice starts to get closer to the Sun, it warms up and begins to melt. Now, in the vacuum of space, this process is technically known as sublimation, because it's impossible for liquid to exist in a vacuum, so the ice transitions directly into gas, and that's what makes the big, bright, fuzzy halo around the comet, technically known as the coma. And this is important because our typical water ice comets will not get warm enough to sublimate and develop their coma until they pass through the orbit of Jupiter and start approaching the asteroid belt. But when TESS first saw 3I Atlas on May 7th, the object was still way out on the other side of Jupiter, and yet it was already super bright and getting brighter every day, indicating that sublimation had already begun. And based on this conversation, we know that if 3I Atlas is a comet, then it's much different from any comet than we've seen before. It's even wildly different from Oumuamua, which was infamous for showing no visible signs of sublimation at all. No coma, they're like opposites. And it's also different from 2I Borisov, because Borisov did all of the usual things that we would expect a comet to do, so it was strange in how familiar it behaved for something so unusual. But as we continued to observe the approach of 3I Atlas over July and August, it kept getting weirder. The coma around the object began to form a tail, which is normal for a comet, but the one around 3I Atlas started growing in the wrong direction. It was pointed towards the sun. We know that the sun is the primary source of light, heat, and energy in our solar system, but we also have to think of the sun like a big fan. It's constantly blowing out solar wind, and this is typically what shapes the tail of a comet. The solar wind blows back the rapidly expanding cloud of gas and dust around the chunk of ice to create a long trail. It's like when a dog sticks their head out the window of a car and air pushes their face back. It's adorable. Now, try and imagine if the dog stuck their head out and their face stretched forward instead. That wouldn't make any sense, right? And that's why people were kind of baffled when it started to look like the tail of 3I Atlas was forming in the direction of the sun against the solar wind. These are just some of the many questions that astronomers were trying to answer when they made the decision to point the world's most powerful space telescopes directly at 3I Atlas. That includes Hubble, James Webb, Sphere X, which is this crazy cone-shaped satellite that studies the origins of the universe, and TESS was also brought back in to take a second look at 3I Atlas as well. It was NASA's most advanced observatory that was able to provide the best insight so far into what 3I Atlas actually is, and again, we have some answers, but also new questions as well. The biggest finding was that the coma surrounding 3I Atlas is made almost entirely of carbon dioxide, which means that this object is not a big chunk of water ice like the comets that we are used to seeing, although it does contain some water, but the ratio of CO2 to H2O is measured at 8:1, which basically means there is 16 times more CO2 in this object than what you would expect to see in an average comet. And the cloud of CO2 around the object is now thought to be gigantic, with a radius of up to 300,000 kilometers. That's almost half the size of the sun. It's way bigger than what we anticipated based on those first observations in July, and that's also got observers thinking that the solid object at the center of the cloud might be a lot bigger than expected as well. At first, we thought that the core of 3I Atlas might be up to 20 kilometers wide. Then that was tempered down to maybe 11 kilometers, but now based on these new observations, it's thought that the actual size could be as big as 46 kilometers across. That's big, but it's not huge. We have found comets in our own solar system with cores over 100 kilometers wide. But the massive amount of CO2 compared to the small amount of water is something we've never seen before. It's basically the opposite of what we would expect to find in the halo of a comet. So it tells us that this object was created in a star system that has very different raw materials to our own. The ratios are all wrong, which is what makes 3I Atlas so genuinely alien in nature. But was it made by aliens? There was another bizarre discovery made this summer during an observation of 3I Atlas by the Very Large Telescope in Chile. Yeah, that's the actual name. It's really big. Anyway, the VLT was able to detect the presence of nickel metal in the coma of 3I Atlas, but it was not able to detect any trace of iron metal. Confused? Good. Iron and nickel are natural partners. They are the most abundant heavy metals in the known universe, and that's because they are forged in the hearts of dying stars and then blasted out into space by the power of supernova explosions. It's epic. And because of this, iron and nickel are always found together in cosmic places like asteroids, moons, and planet cores. The only time we ever see nickel on its own is when we, as in humans, purposely separate the two metals in an industrial process. So, how did nickel find its way into a comet without bringing along any iron with it? Good question. We don't know. It's pretty weird. So, of course, that brings us around to everyone's favorite explanation: aliens. There is no shortage of theories out there about what kind of artificial spacecraft we might be looking at, and in fairness to those theorists, it's not like they're just making stuff up. All that they do is take the known data and create a slightly more speculative interpretation. For example, we know that 3I Atlas got brighter as it passed by Jupiter. Yes, it was getting closer to the sun, but that doesn't account for anywhere near the amount of brightness that was added, so this could be explained by early sublimation due to the object's unusually high CO2 content, or it could be an alien space probe that started switching its lights on. We've also seen the theory put out there that the object is surrounded by a cloud of CO2 because it's a giant spaceship full of living organisms that are breathing out CO2 just like we do, and they are venting the waste produced into space. I've even heard it said that 3I Atlas might be a giant living organism itself, and it's consuming dust and gas as it moves through the solar system and releasing CO2 as an organic byproduct. And the cool thing is that as of right now, no one can say with 100% certainty that this is not true. It's probably not, but same thing with the nickel metal. No one can say for sure what's going on with that finding, so you can't say definitively that it's not an artificially constructed alien spacecraft. Again, it's probably not, but... And this is why scientists and astronomers are quickly trying to learn as much about 3I Atlas as they can in the small window of time that we have available. We have an opportunity to get a photograph of this object as it passes close by the planet Mars in early October, coming within about 28 million kilometers, which is still pretty far, but it's close enough for 2 European Mars orbiters to get a decent look. The European Space Agency will use both the Mars Express and ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter to observe 3I Atlas using high-resolution cameras and color imaging systems. Now, it's not like we'll get a beautiful close-up or anything, but there should be just enough resolution to distinguish between the cloud of gas surrounding the object and whatever is at the center of that cloud. So we could maybe get an idea about what the shape of the object actually is. And then by late October, from our point of view on Earth, 3I Atlas will pass behind the sun, and we won't be able to see it again until December, at which point it'll be on the way out of the solar system again. But we'll get one last chance. On March 16th, 2026, 3I Atlas will fly past Jupiter at a distance of 53 million kilometers. Still pretty far away, but we do have one active probe out there in the orbit of Jupiter. It's called Juno. It's an older spacecraft. It's been at the Jupiter system since 2016, and the end of the probe's scientific mission is actually scheduled for September 2025. NASA was planning to just crash the probe into Jupiter to dispose of it and see what happens along the way, but another potential end-of-life mission could be to try and intercept 3I Atlas on its way out of the solar system.
Wow. I have more questions now.
Everybody does.
Oh, I mean, okay. This is what I've learned. It was found July of this year, so a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
It defies everything that we know on this earth, the rules that we go by, like the nickel rule or whatever with the iron.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be feeding off I'm paraphrasing here. It's like feeding off the sun and going opposite of the wind. I mean,
right.
Wow. I mean, another question is where the hell it come from? Are we in trouble? Why didn't we find it sooner? I mean, what's going to go? And what's a level 1 on these things? I don't know. I've got more questions, but wow. We'll start there.
So, yeah. And the level 1 thing means that everybody needs to get on board, including the president. It's one of those wow moments. Like, okay, what is this thing? Do you remember in the movie with Will Smith, Independence Day? And in the very, very beginning, something was coming in. There was a comet coming in, and they were like looking at it. And then all of a sudden, it went to level 1 and went all the way to the president. Why? Because it started to slow down.
Oh,
and comets don't do that. It was a spacecraft. That's how they started the whole entire movie. This is happening right now as we speak. It is now just past Jupiter, and it's about to go through the asteroid belt and then on its way to Mars.
So I'm sitting here with my tinfoil hat on.
Of course, that's what we're doing tonight.
half of it on, and then the other half is my analytical intel collection brain, right? Yep. And trying to analyze it and being an analyst with this. And we've heard a lot about from the administration and the press lately about aliens and spaceships and stuff. That whole narrative has been coming back around again. And usually everybody thinks, oh, when that comes around, they're trying to distract us from what's really going on. But maybe it's starting to make sense a little bit. I don't know. Maybe my tinfoil hat's too tight. I don't know.
We're going to definitely do shortly. We're going to do some episodes on spacecraft and all that. We've got some very interesting things that are happening with the orbs and the drones that people have been seeing. And do you remember the whole thing with the Jersey drones and all that thing that was going on there?
Oh,
there are some people saying that Oumuamua was coming through and it actually sped up and then slowed down. It changed course. It did all these weird things. Then it left the solar system. And they were like, okay, cool. Big comet, big rock, whatever it was. It came through. We saw it. It was interstellar. Came from a part of space we didn't know. It's definitely alien to us. This is our solar system. Stuff from other stars isn't supposed to come here, but it did. And people said, okay, well, maybe they dropped some stuff off. Maybe they dropped off some probes, some orbs, some,
Wow. I never thought of that.
Do you know the astrophysicist named Avi Loeb?
No.
World famous. He's like Michio Kaku. I mean, he's probably not smart as Einstein because obviously Einstein was incredible, but we're talking the biggest in the world. Anybody who's in science knows Avi Loeb, just like they would, what's his name? Stephen Hawking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They were friends. Okay. Let's put it that way. He was the first astrophysicist to come out and say that there's a really good chance that this is a spacecraft coming to our solar system.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean,
and he is still saying that. Now he actually designed a sort of spectrum between 0 and 10, and right now he's on number 4. He was like up at 8, and he's coming back he's going back and forth. But yeah, a lot of people are saying, "Well, man, you're going to destroy your career in this." He's like, "I'm not destroying anything. This is science. I'm going through the science. The science is telling us stuff that it shouldn't be telling us." Number one, is coming in on the elliptical plane of our solar system, which is unheard of. Why would anything do that? A spacecraft would definitely want to do that because it would use the planet's gravities to project itself to get to the next spot. Leapfrogging, I guess you would call it. So that's one thing. The other thing was it was bright, and it should not have been bright. Comets, you can't see comets until they get close enough to the sun, right around the asteroid belt, and the sun's solar winds hit it and blow the burn the stuff off of it, and that's where you get the tail, right? The coma, they call it. That tail, when you see a picture of a comet, it's like on anywhere you see a tail coming off it, that's not the direction it's going in. That's the direction of the solar winds.
Because it's blowing, it's
exactly
like burning through the atmosphere, I guess, or space.
Yeah, exactly. So let's say it was going past the sun, when it goes past the sun, on the other side of the sun, it will be moving away from the sun, and its tail will be in front of it, because the solar winds will be pushing the tail backwards. The tail does not signify the direction of the comet. It signifies the direction of the solar winds. Just like a flag on a golf course blowing or on an airfield. Okay, same thing. It should not have been doing that out past there, but it was. Okay, and it was red, and that's not really uncommon because of some of the chemicals that it interferes with when it's out there. But then it turned green. It went from red, bright red, to green, and it shouldn't have been doing anything at all anyway. And nickel always has iron in it. Nickel and iron go hand in hand. They're a combination alloy, and that's how they're made. Something has to separate them. Now, this is an interstellar object. It's coming from a star system that we don't know, and we don't know everything. We know a speck of everything. So maybe nickel in that other solar system is made without iron. the chemistry here says it can't happen, but that doesn't mean chemistry someplace else, doesn't. But anytime you see nickel that does not have iron, you're looking at a man-made alloy. You're looking at something that was made in a factory, something that was constructed. And that's what this thing has, nickel without iron. It also has CO2, tons of it. It has a tiny percentage of water and almost all CO2, which is what we breathe, carbon dioxide, out of our mouths. What animals breathe, what happens when you burn firewood, when you burn coal, when you burn stuff, that's CO2.
Wow.
So why is that in there? We don't know that either. Shouldn't be, but it gets better.
Oh no.
Avi Loeb, he's on the side of science. He's not on the side of aliens. He's on the side of science. And he's saying that there is a really good chance that this thing could be something it's not. We don't know what it is. Let me play you this one.
3i Atlas was strange in my mind the minute I heard about it, because it was discovered at a distance of 4.5 times the Earth-Sun separation, and yet it was discovered with a telescope that is only half a meter in diameter. And the reason is because it was relatively bright. If it was a solid object, then it should have been 20 kilometers in diameter, bigger than Manhattan Island, bigger, twice as large as the rock that killed the dinosaurs,
right,
66 million years ago. So it's a giant object. Now, there is a problem with a giant object. There is just not enough material in interstellar space to make such a giant rock and send it our way every few years. I mean, this one was discovered after a few years of surveying the sky. And I suggested that the simplest solution would be if it's less than a kilometer in size, and then it's surrounded by a cloud of dust, in which case it would be a comet. The problem is we haven't detected yet the signatures of molecules of gas around it. All we saw is this object is red. The color is red. The reflected sunlight from it is red, but that could be coming from its surface. A lot of objects in the outskirts of the solar system are red. So it might well be that when it comes closer to the sun, it's making its way now towards the sun.
Right.
Then it will evaporate much more clearly, and then we would see a plume of gas and dust, and it would appear to be clearly a comet, in which case we shouldn't worry too much. But then I also noticed with two colleagues, we wrote a paper saying that its trajectory is very unusual, because the trajectory is in the plane of the orbit of the Earth around the sun, and within 5 degrees. And the chance of that happening at random is 0.2%.
Wow.
So it's aligned with the orbital plane of the inner planets. It will come very close to Jupiter, Mars, and Venus. The chance of that happening, even taking the orbit and just changing the arrival time, the chance of it being so close to these planets is 1 in 20,000. It's really small. And also when it arrives closest to the sun, and by the way, mark your calendar, that would be October 29th, 2025. When it gets closest to the sun, the Earth would be on the opposite side of the sun. We wouldn't be able to observe it. We won't see it. So the question is, was that by design? Because that is the point in the trajectory when it can actually break.
A lot of people have speculated that an object that is alien, that is non-human, okay, let's call it that, and purposeful, coming to see us, coming to our solar system, coming here for a purpose, that object would at some point want to get on the other side of the sun so that we could not see it. This has been speculated for decades that this is how it would happen. And then he said it could break. Now, what he's talking about there is maybe the outer shell breaks, maybe pieces of it break off and go into orbit around the sun, which in turn can get to Earth. Who knows? It goes on past that. I didn't want to make it too long, but he does say this about the sun. This is a quick one.
And if this object ends up not following the path that we anticipate after it passes close to the sun on October 29th, 2025, my guess is that the stock market will crash.
This is, the top scientific mind on the planet talking about these things. So where do we go from this?
I don't know. I'm scared. I have so many questions, and wow.
So timeline wise, let's look at it this way. Let me see. October 29th. No. September is actually a closer one. September 28th, I think they said, which is coming up. That is the date that it will pass by Mars. There are some people saying that there are some scientists and astronomers that are saying that it is changing its course because of the outgassing of the particles being blown away from it, and it is now going to get real close to Mars. Extremely close to Mars.
Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb just warned that 3I Atlas could actually collide with Mars. NASA's new calculations are terrifying. This isn't a flyby anymore. The interstellar object is now just 1.95 million kilometers from Mars and closing fast at 87 kilometers per second. But here's what's shocking. It's pulsing gas like clockwork every 17 minutes. Perfectly timed course corrections. At 10 billion tons moving at this speed, impact would release 2 million megatons of energy. That's thousands of times larger than the biggest nuclear bomb ever tested, creating a 60-kilometer wide crater. NASA's radar shows hard metallic returns instead of soft ice signatures. Amateur photos reveal the tail splitting into 3 green beams pointing directly at Mars. These aren't natural comet behaviors. September 26th is the collision window. Is this a cosmic accident or something steering itself toward Mars?
Oh, now I know it's a spaceship.
So,
oh man. Oh,
okay. So just to play devil's advocate here, the devil being the system, the man, NASA. NASA is jumping out across the board saying, no, this is a comet. It's definitely different. It's unlike anything we've ever seen before. And we really want to study this thing because it can tell us about what other star systems are doing, what they have, going on. If an advanced space traveling society, way more advanced than us, were to come here or bring a probe here or say hi to us, they recognize that there's some kind of life here, what a better way to do it is to build something like a comet.
Well, it's perfect camouflage. It looks like something we see we don't see all the time, but we could buy into.
Yeah.
Wow.
Doing the research for this, I got to see some pretty cool graphics. We have spacecraft out there that are monitoring what are called NEOs, near Earth objects. Now, we have a massive asteroid belt that's between Earth and Mars. I'm sorry, between Mars and Jupiter. Okay. And those asteroids, they come towards us, they get knocked out of place and they follow gravitational forces from Mars and whatnot, and they make it to Earth. Happens all the time. We have flybys constantly. We have actual hits. We have craters all over the Earth when it was much more prevalent and happening a lot. And we have craters because of it. One of them took out the dinosaurs. Honestly, a planet killer or dinosaur killer, if you want to call it, an extinction level event, an ELE, we can't prepare for.
Well, I mean, obviously the dinosaurs didn't have a bug out bag. The right one, at least.
And they also don't have NASA. And NASA has a program that is been working now for about a decade, trying to figure out how to steer away one of these objects. Now, we have spaceships out there that are monitoring these things. And there are computer programs, as you can see, with actual graphics that you can actually go online and you can see them all. If you don't want to be scared shitless, don't look at it.
Oh,
because we're basically in a shooting gallery.
I'm going to have to go take some anxiety meds or something, or a couple shots after this episode. And I started reading up on different things, and supposedly there's, over 2,500 different objects that are called PHAs, potentially hazardous asteroids out there that could hit the Earth.
Yeah.
That are just out there floating around that have the potential of hitting Earth. I mean, wow, I'm going to sleep great tonight.
Well, Chelyabinsk, Russia, just a couple of years ago, got hit.
Yeah.
It was called an airburst because it didn't come in a trajectory straight down.
Yeah.
But it came across, it skimmed basically the Earth and came right over Chelyabinsk, Russia, and exploded. And you can go online and look at all the videos of cars getting flown this way and windows getting blown out and all kinds of stuff.
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You got the Tunguska event that happened in Russia in a forest where there was nobody. I think it was 19 somethings. And it was an actual hit. Well, some scientists say it may have been an Earth, an airburst, but some say that it actually did hit, and they actually found the asteroid, flattened hundreds of square miles of trees, just flattened out. There's pictures of it. You can go online and look up. There's a whole thing about it. It's not like tinfoil hat shit. You can actually go see it. If that happens, it already has happened. If that happens again, now in a populated area, the city's gone. Like something like New York is leveled, gone. Now, that's not the whole Earth. That's just New York. But if it was to hit anywhere in a modern civilization like China, Russia, United States, Canada, you're talking about stock markets crashing. You're talking about economies dropping out of nowhere just overnight.
Yeah, if it's any populated area, the impact's gonna be. I mean, just look at the economic impact of just supply chain, disruptions, small events. I mean, you can't really say that like Helene was a small event, but the most bone chilling thing I saw when I got to Helene, even a week and a half later, I walked in a grocery store. We were going to grab something to eat for the night, and there was probably 96% of the store was bare. I mean, you just walked along the lines, and it was a giant grocery store, some similar to an H-E-B, real nice upscale type of grocery store, just bare. And most of all the food and drinks that were in there in the store were in the deli. That was where everybody was. They were trying to feed people immediately and with what they had, and it was just I couldn't grasp that. It took me hours and days later to really just figure out what just happened, and to really think about it.
And that was a small event, not to them, not to most of some parts of the United States, but there are people in the United States, but let alone around the world, that have no idea about Helene, no idea that happened.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can see it on TV, but and say a thought and prayer for them, but until you actually have been in an event like that or have seen it, firsthand, then you really don't know, the impact of it. I mean, the Murrah building, I was. I did search and rescue recovery there. I was a patron at the bank that was there on the third floor, and just missed it by a couple hours, but it's another whole story. But being there and seeing it, the pictures and stuff don't do it justice. And
you're talking about the Oklahoma bombing, right?
Oklahoma bombing, yes, the Murrah building.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And 100 square miles of just decimation and burned out forest. I mean, wow,
Yeah. So these things are out there. They're coming. Is 3I Atlas, is this, an alien spacecraft? Is this an alien probe? Is it bringing something here? Who knows? Probably not. It's probably most likely a comet from a place that we know nothing about that's acting very, very different. But who knows? If that's the case, and it is outgassing things from a place that we don't know enough about, can it have microorganisms in it that can spread through our solar system and cause trouble?
Yeah.
Could those organisms be engineered?
Oh, it sounds like to me that, and here we go with the tinfoil hat theory, it's maneuvering for Mars. And we've had our eye on Mars for a long time for its resources. And we go there and we look at things and can we sustain life on Mars and do some things? And I think, they're trying to do certain things, but it really, if it's true what the guy was talking about, it looks like it's maneuvering to Mars and why would it do that? Could it be a giant magnet? Mars is, a metallic type, more metallic type of.
That's why it's red. That's because it's rusted.
And is it okay? So
is it a lot of iron?
is it drawing it in there, or is it a bunch of little green men in there in a perfect camouflage like a tank or some kind of camouflage vehicle flying there, for a reason? I don't. Wow.
Well, and it could be, that scientists and astronomers and people like that are, they're blowing it out of proportion. They're saying they're exaggerating some certain numbers, maybe to try and get not them personally, but maybe to get science more out there in the mainstream. It's possible. But this happens all the time. When Oumuamua came by and Borisov, I still can't say that name. When those two things came by, NASA went straight to the White House and said, we need more funding. They wanted money. So there's always something. There's always a hook. But the world's leading people are saying this thing is unlike anything we've ever seen before. It is in our solar system, and it is coming. Now, it's not going to come near Earth. At first, they said it was going to be like 100 million miles away from Mars. Then they said it was 29 million miles away from Mars. And that last soundbite I just played said 1.2 something million miles from Mars. So think about it this way. Our moon is almost a million miles. What is it like? No, it's not a million miles. I'm sorry. It's about 250,000 miles. Or is it kilometers? One of the two. I think it's miles away from Earth. So 4 times the distance is what that last soundbite is saying. Maybe 5 or 6 times the distance away from the moon, away from the Earth. That's very close. That's close enough to drop some shit off.
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm picturing little green men in discs that are just all of a sudden launch and go there and they start doing things.
Yeah, and there's so many sound bites that I couldn't play because it would take so much time to get them set up. But Avi Loeb has some sound bites saying that this you could have a space rearing entity come through and just pass by, but then drop off a bunch of probes while it's coming through.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny that we had 1A and 2A, I'm sorry, 1I and 2I, which was Oumuamua and the Borisov come through. And what started happening? We started getting probes and drones and orbs and all kinds of strange shit going on in our world. Right around the same time frame. So, it obviously takes time to get there, but think about that. They came through and all of a sudden everything started spiking.
Well, that's definitely a data point to put back in the back of your brain.
Yeah.
Now, when is this thing coming through?
Yeah. So the 26th, which is coming up in, let's see. This episode is going to air I'm going to put this on this Friday. So this one's going to air coming up in a couple of days. So those of you listening right now, you've got about a week, the 26th.
Great.
Not a week to prepare. I'm not saying that. That's not what I meant. Okay. I'm prepared though. Anyway, the 26th is when it's going to come by Mars. Okay. And then after that, it's going to go, by October 28th, it will pass behind the sun and we will not be able to see it anymore. Not until, I think they said March of 2026, next year. So there is about 4 or 5, 6 month, whatever period where we're not going to be able to have eyes on this thing.
Oh, man.
We're not going to have any idea what happened to it for those months. Did it keep on going? Did it drop off some shit? Did it break apart and something kind of fly off of it and come towards us and it kept on going? And who knows? Nobody knows at this point.
Do we have stuff still on Mars, like probes and stuff?
Yeah. So we got it. We have the Mars reconnaissance orbiter. Okay, and it has on like these high resolution cameras and stuff that are on it. I think the camera is actually called high resolution or high res or high rise, something like that. And it's going to be taking pictures of it. So if it doesn't get hit, if it does get hit, they're still going to take pictures of it. If it does what NASA's saying it's going to do, and it's going to be, 29 million miles away, they're going to be able to get some really good pictures of it and some data, like that. So we're going to know something. Next Friday, we're going to know something. Period.
Wow.
End of discussion. We will know something next Friday. And then it'll slowly go behind the sun, and then then who knows at that point.
So we at least have time to Amazon purchase and get it expedited.
Oh yeah,
a telescope or something.
Oh
right?
yeah, oh yeah. And you won't even need an expensive one. You can get one of those cheap ones you get from Walmart. I mean, to see this thing. But
Wow.
it is going to be visible in the night sky eventually, and that is if it doesn't crash into Mars and explode. Now, what happens if it does hit Mars? I mean, who knows?
I was thinking that, man, that's going to cause a
put it on its axis, shoot a bunch of stuff up into the outer atmosphere, and then it head towards Earth.
Oh man, yeah, it's going to cause a huge minefield of comets or
debris.
Debris
Yeah.
that's metallic, and it's going to have to burn up before, hopefully it hits it good enough to where it makes it smaller. Wow, I mean, it could. Oh wow.
Yeah, we got a lot of things.
What if?
We got a lot of things going on. We have Apophis, which is coming soon, very soon. What are we on? 2026, about to go into. So I think it's 2030 or 2020. I don't know I don't know the exact dates. I'm not going to say it offhand. I can't remember. But Apophis is going to be coming through.
It will pass 20,000 miles. That's a 99942 Apophis. Is that what
Yes.
you're talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what I printed out here, it says it'll pass within 20,000 miles of Earth on April 13th, 2029.
That's correct. And there is what they call a keyhole, and it is a space. It is it's a area in space that this thing is going to fly through. It's going to fly past Earth. That's between some of our orbiting satellites. That's how close it's going to come. Now, and everybody's thinking, well, hell, that's really close. No, we have some satellites that are really far out there. Okay. But there's a keyhole, which is they actually call it that at NASA. They call it a keyhole. It's an area of space that objects will fly through. If it goes through the center of that keyhole, it is going to make a round trip and come back and actually hit the Earth 5 or 6 years later, or 7 years later, in 2023. In 2037, it will happen if it goes through that keyhole. The mathematics put it there. If it goes a little bit to the outside that keyhole or a little bit off center, anywhere in that keyhole, it's going to hit the Earth. If it hits the center of that keyhole, it's going to hit the Earth about 80 something miles off the coast of California. This is all mathematical. This is absolutely out there. There's no lies about it. If it misses the keyhole either side, it will not hit the Earth. So that's why NASA's got these programs in place trying to figure out what to do with these things. Right now, their best option that we know of course, they're not going to tell us everything, but the best thing they got right now is parking some spacecraft, some types of spacecraft out there alongside of it. And these spacecraft will have just enough pulling power. In other words, gravity, because everything has gravity. Your dog has gravity. Everything with mass has gravity. And these little spacecraft are sitting off the side of it, and they're just nudging it ever so slightly, just slightly enough to get it off course. That's the best theory they got right now.
Kind of like tugboats.
Kind of like tugboats. Yeah, exactly. Weapons will not do it.
You can't shoot a laser beam.
No shooting, because all it's going to do is it's going to break it up into bigger pieces, and you have more impacts on Earth. That's what it's going to be.
Wow.
So,
all right, I'm not scared at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So Apophis is coming through, and dude, I got lots of stuff to tell people. I can't wait till we do the UFO episode where I link on the episode, and you guys can go look it up right now if you're really interested, about the what do you call it? These Tic Tac UFOs that are all over the world, that everybody's seeing, that they're talking about. They're everywhere. This is not bullshit. The U.S. government shot a Hellfire missile at one. Had two drones, one filming the actual Tic Tac flying, and another drone shooting a Hellfire missile at it, or coming from someplace. I think it was from another drone. They said hits the Tic Tac and bounces off of it.
Wow. And I
don't know what a Hellfire missile is, but I think they're pretty badass.
I heard the same thing about the orb. They shot a Hellfire as an orb, and it just went through it. I mean, that's what they're calling it, an orb, but it's a Tic Tac. It actually doesn't even look like a Tic Tac. It looks more like an orb. It's a glowing object moving very fast, and
doing things that we can't do, that we don't have equipment to do, and they shot a missile at it and it bounced off. First of all, why are they shooting Hellfire missiles and we're not being told about it? Shouldn't we know as a country when our government is shooting missiles at something?
Well, I mean, Hellfire is
transparency. I mean,
the Hellfires they come off of. I mean, helicopters have them. They're not that big.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not like a ballistic missile.
I gotcha. Yeah.
So they're not
up into space and back down. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think they'd had a better chance of maybe shooting with a laser beam.
We got some of that shit. I've seen technology out there where they're working on high energy particle weapons, man.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start a new podcast of tinfoil hat stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Oh, I've wanted to do that from day one. I think if you look at our early episodes, I think like episode 2 or 3 or 4, I was talking aliens already.
Yeah, so. I mean, I remember you talking about it, and hopefully we didn't lose listeners with this because every once in a while it's fun to have a different perspective or different stuff on there. It makes it fun, at least for us. I mean, just talking about bug out bags every episode, it's not as fun. So
after a while, it gets kind of boring. Talking about bug out bags.
Yeah, but stuff like this, I mean, it if you think of in the prepper sphere, I mean, wow.
Well, sure. Look, buddy, give me 3 examples of why people would want to be a prepper. Some kind of an event. Give me 3 examples off the top of your head.
The first thing that comes to mind would be a weather event in your local area.
Good one, probably the best one.
And that coincides with loss of power, which is going to affect your food and possibly water, sewage. Which is
why everybody was around that deli area in that grocery store you went to, because that food was going bad.
Yep, exactly.
Economic collapse.
Economic collapse, social. In larger cities, your social
unrest,
disruptions, or social disobedience, basically, riots.
I see where your brain goes. Your brain goes to real world threats.
Yeah, and so with the way I'm wired, with that intelligence background, and the prepper in me, the homesteader, growing up as a homesteader and stuff, I'm thinking, the basics, food and water, electricity is a nicety, safety, food, water, and safety are the biggest concerns. But, I do those area studies and I talk about them all the time. And if you don't know what they are, they are, look them up. You need to do one. You need to know what the threats are in your area to prepare. And, unless you're just independently wealthy and can have a bunker that you can throw years of food and water and electricity and all that stuff into, then good for you. Invite me. I'll help. I'll clean it for you. I don't know, but
there's not a lot of prepper survivalist type podcasts that talk about area studies. I never did up until the time you came on. I don't even know what an area study is until you started talking about them. Most prepper survivalists are talking about EMP. Asteroid hit, economic collapse, World War III, nuclear war, stuff like that. That's what the big ones, the really big ones. They don't talk about the smaller stuff that can really happen a lot easier than any of the big ones. But why wouldn't we talk about an asteroid impact or a CME, coronal mass ejection from the sun? Why wouldn't we talk about a possible alien threat? They talk about those on TV shows, on documentaries about survival and things like that. It's no more plausible than us being attacked by aliens, than us being hit by an asteroid or a CME happening.
We started getting into that the guy up north, the up north prepper kind of fear porn guy. We kind of get in his wheelhouse and we start some of this. But I mean, hey, if it happens, right before you die, they'll think, hey, these guys are right.
But the preparations are the same. They're slightly different for different things, but the preparations are still in place.
When you peel back the onion, and you're preparing for any kind of, there's subtle differences, but the underlying reason why you're preparing is all the same, and then you're throwing in certain things, that are specific for that same event or that.
Sure. That's why I always say that I always prep for nuclear war, because in my mind it's the worst. Now, yeah, CME would be really bad. Could be worse than nuclear war. An asteroid impact could be worse than nuclear war. Some type of a major tsunami event, that may hit the East Coast or the West Coast, that would destroy the economy instantly overnight. These are things that, these are big time events. So if I prep for them, then I'm prepped for what right now Rhonda and I are actually prepping for. And that is this coming winter, which is supposed to be really bad. And Missouri, Kansas, some parts of northern Oklahoma, and another state, I'm not sure what, Tennessee, I think, we are in what's going to be called the winter battle zone this year because of the La Nina going into El Nino situation with the weather. We're going to be hit with ice storms and snowstorms. It's a battleground is what they're talking about, winter battleground. Up north of us is going to be a lot of snow, and south of us is going to be a lot of ice.
And what you just did was you did an area study. You are at least part of the area study. That's one of the components of it. You're looking at the weather, and you did a threat analysis of what could happen to your area. I kind of did,
didn't I?
You did, and you're doing it by proxy, And I would love to do an episode on the working components of, the area study. It's designed by somebody else who I've taken lots of classes from and paid a lot of good money to get through some of his trainings and stuff. I've contacted him maybe to bring him on someday. He might. And go through these, but I mean, it's something you can do on your own as well. You can buy his book.
But one person can't corner the market in doing research on threats to your area.
No, and he was an Army guy who he learned this kind of thing through his Army intel career, and then he put it down and kind of tailored it to prepping, and wrote a book, and he's made money on it and stuff. But his name's Mike Shelby, and it's the area intel study.
Mike Shelby, yeah.
And so, $25, $30, I don't know exactly what it costs.
That Mike Shelby's not the same guy who does the Forward Observer, is he?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He actually tried to contact Rhonda and I several times. I spoke to somebody in his office one day when I was at work, and I didn't have the time for him, and I kind of felt bad, but he was wanting to come on and do an area, talk about area studies and things like that. And we just never connected. I would like to have gotten him on. That would have been great.
And I've had some, interactions with him, face to face with him in some classes and some trainings and stuff. And I've asked him, so it's something that maybe possibly in the future it can happen. He's a very extremely busy guy. So, but I mean, it could, and if not, if he gives me a thumbs up, I can teach it. I've done some personal area studies for people, to help people out.
So tell the truth. Do you hope this is an alien ship coming?
Yes, I do. I hope it's an alien ship. And
so do I, man. I want it to be aliens so bad.
I mean, I don't know. A
friendly aliens. I don't want it to be bad aliens. I want it to be friendly ones.
Man, I want to put to bed some of this stuff that I've wondered my whole life. Is Bigfoot real? Is there gray aliens? Are there, lizard aliens? Are ghosts real? I've seen and experienced a lot of shit in my life that I'm like, what could that be? Kind of thing. But, I just want answers. I don't know. And in the meaning of a life, if I can find the meaning of life in there along my journey, then, hey, there we go.
My prepper brothers and sisters, 3i Atlas may be an alien ship or not. We'll know soon enough, that's for sure. As preppers, we all prep for different reasons. Should we prepare for an alien invasion? Why not? Prepping should be fun. Prepping for an alien invasion is no more different or outlandish than prepping for a meteor impacting Earth, or a coronal mass ejection from the sun, or a nuclear war. What matters is that we are prepping and enjoying ourselves while we do it. It's a lifestyle, not a job. Personally, I'm hoping for aliens. Stay prepped, stay happy. Thanks for listening, and good night.